Starting over, I will call this meeting to order at 7:30 PM. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
I will. Supervisor Gail Eisenberg.
Here.
Assessor Jane Churchwell.
Here.
Trustee Danielle Rubin.
Here.
Trustee Elliot Robin. Here. Trustee Kate Cassell Nally.
Here.
And Administrator Larisha Hopkins.
Here.
And Communications, Julie Tomsberger.
Here. And let the record,
And Madam Supervisor, we have forum for business.
thank you. Trustee Moser had let us know that he will not be here today, and we wish him well. We'll now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To be brief, supervisors reports, the main thing to report on is the annual Township Officials of Illinois Lobby Day in Springfield. We had a very productive day, meeting with all of our representatives and senators representing New Trier Township, other than Robin Gable, though we did exchange messages. Our delegation is really serving us very well. We had the opportunity to, first and foremost, push the legislation that myself, Northfield and Niles had drafted regarding allowing us to use our general assistance fund for other financial assistance to people with low incomes that don't meet those requirements. So we are hopeful. We have gotten out of the Senate now. So the last two hurdles are upon us: full Senate vote and then signature. There is only 1 week to go. So we are down to the wire. I have not been told any concerns about it getting done by Thursday. But there's always some excitement the last week in Springfield. So please do contact your senators. Laura Fine is a co-sponsor. We are also represented by Julie Morrison for Glencoe. So anybody who's listening to this recording from Glencoe, please do contact her and ask her to vote so we can have that flexibility and get rid of, finally spend down those reserves, because they're not doing anyone good there, because we can't touch them. We also had reports from Mike Frericks, our state treasurer, as well as our newly elected Secretary of State, Janulius. Treasurer Frericks spoke especially about the ABLE program, which allows people with developmental disabilities and their families to put aside money without losing their governmental benefits. So I did speak with him about having an outreach event here at the township. So that'll be exciting as well. And we were also given the opportunity, in addition to watching our bill get out of committee in the Senate, we also watched our state senator, Laura Fine, pass important mental health legislation, especially regarding 311 and also and as the chairperson of the mental health subcommittee. So we're very lucky to have her as well.
Former township clerk.
And a former township clerk. You are absolutely right. We had some excitement again in the building. We had a flood in the basement. So never a dull moment with our historic location. You'll see in Larisha's report that we are addressing some of those foundation concerns. But thank you to Julie for still being here that night so we could find out what was going on. That was certainly a lovely call. And yeah, so we just gotta get that set as well, and that's why we leave money aside for our building. We are subject to the Prevailing Wage Act for those kinds of acts, and since we're not used to using that Prevailing Wage Act, we don't have a highway commission. We just have to be careful about that, and so it's taking a little bit more time.
Yeah,
to
they
get
sent
the
us a
bids.
new contract.
Good.
Great.
Anything else I should cover in the report? Oh, the music festival. The Winnetka Music Festival is happening this summer, and we've been in touch with them. Larisha's been doing a great job liaising with them. It looks like our concerns about having to, whether we would have to shut down for that day are no longer going to be a problem because they're going to start the setup after
work year.
So we're good. And if there are any concerns, they promise to literally take our clients from the parking lot in a golf cart because we're concerned about mobility issues. So thank you, Larisha, for being on top of that. Anything else I should cover? Well, if so, I will bring it up later. All right, that is supervisor's report. Any questions?
You represented us at the. Oh, yeah.
Yes, I did a program on community safety along with the Winnetka Chamber of Commerce, Winnetka Northfield, Glencoe, they all combined. And as well as March 4th. So discussing various safety initiatives both in our township and beyond. So I think people found our crisis response page useful, especially if they need to get information about red flag laws and restraining and also crisis toll phone numbers. So very helpful. Yes. Okay. Oh, and I did go to North Suburban Legal Aid Clinics event as well. And what our Jocelyn development director also held a program on mental health concerns and cancer as well that I attended. All right, approval of the minutes.
I got one thing.
Oh.
Very small. Page 4 of 5, and we're looking at the March 14th minute.
Yeah.
At the, right before acknowledgement of staff reports, the last sentence of that paragraph before it, monetization of juvenile offenses in the township. So I propose changing defenses to offenses.
Yep, that would do it.
I've got two things as well. On page 3 of 5, towards the very bottom, you just add Casal before McNally, where it says trustee. 3 lines up. And then on page 5 of 5, under new business, when we're talking about the mayor's monarch challenge, it's S apostrophe. I think there are 2 different instances of that.
And Gail, I had a question. This might not be a correction. This is more of just what I'm remembering from last month. On page 1 at the bottom where it says you started a menstrual cup pilot in the pantry. Are we doing any other feminine products or is it just menstrual cup? I don't recall.
We also have tampons and pads come in as donations. We currently still have a good amount of tampons. But as an update, the menstrual cups went quickly. So I think it was a successful pilot.
That's great.
And obviously for those who do not have a uterus, those essentially you would be only need to have one. It's a reusable menstrual product. So meant to be a greener initiative.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other changes? With those changes, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, it is unanimous. And thank you, Larisha, for helping Jerome in his recovery with those minutes. We very much appreciate it. These are great. Clerk's report.
Well, I'm delighted to report that our annual town meeting was a success. The nice presentation, the venue was perfect, and the program was interesting. So I want to express appreciation for all of you who pitched in to make it a really nice evening. So thank you.
Absolutely. Any comments on the annual town meeting?
I thought it went extremely smoothly. I thought all the speakers did an exceptional job. I just thought it was handled very, very well. And I thought in particular, the one person that wanted to talk about some concerns, I mean, I thought we handled him very well and so on. It just all in all, it was an excellent town meeting.
Agreed.
And I did reach out to the gentleman who was newer to township government to offer him additional information, and we have had a correspondence.
Robin, I think it would be interesting actually to invite that individual and other residents who have a concern, and do a site, maybe we could invite some of the village people over and then actually see the duplication that he sees that we don't get. And it would be fun to like resolve that. It would almost be a blessing for township government. If you could bring in some of your friends in the villages and we could talk about all the things that we don't do, that they do, and the things that we do that they don't want to do.
Well, we will get to a little bit more of that as we get to new
Oh,
business.
okay.
So, no, you're on it, you're being appreciated. All
And
right,
just a second, I was really happy with the way everyone helped, particularly Risha, but everyone, Gail and Julie and everyone.
and the annual town meeting video is on YouTube, thank you, Julie, I just posted it as well, fabulous. So everyone can access it and relive it whenever they want. Financial reports, I will make James give him credit, host. And I apologize for my throat, this is just how I sound today.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm going to blow this up so we can walk through the 2 months ended April 30th. Again, not a whole lot of activity on the expenditure side, but when you look at property taxes, we've collected 50%. Remember, we had some delayed collections on the late tax bills, but we're now at 50%. And again, this is the proposed budget. You'll approve that tonight. But again, 17% of the way through. Replacement taxes look very good at 16%. That comes in about 8 times a year. That's the business tax. Interest also at 17%. So that looks to be tracking nicely. We've opened up now our Schwab managed accounts with Sawyer Felduto. So you'll see those a little bit later on in the cash report. Passport fees looking very strong, 7,300 already collected there. And then some other income. So 1.7 million in total. We budgeted 3.5, so we're at exactly 50%, which makes sense as we're driven by those property taxes. As we look at expenditures, again, down the far right-hand column here, I'm always trying to gauge where we are in the year versus what we've spent of the budget. And you can see here, not a whole lot going on in terms of agency programs, nothing spent to date. Projects, nothing spent to date. So again, more to come there. We're at 17% on contractual services. That looks good. Assessors at 12. Financial assistance, that's up a little bit. 74,000 spent out of welfare services. So that's at 24% of the budget there. And then down here, personnel is at 15, elected officials 17. So all of that seems to be trending pretty nicely. Overall, not a whole lot going on though, as agency programs and those projects are really bigger pieces of the expenditure budget. So 206, almost 217,000 spent, 3.6 million is the budget. So we're only at 6%. Again, we're going to look very good when the taxes come in, and then we spend that down over the remaining months. So about 1.5 million, giving us an ending surplus of about approximately 3 million year to date. And again, that's probably going to come down now as we await the next installment, which I hope is a little bit earlier than last year in December. As you kind of take a look at the distribution, again, taxes 98%, replacement tax 0.9, interest 0.2, passports 0.4. And then down into the expenditures, you know, right now personnel is about 30%, financial assistance 34%, elected officials 3%, childcare 3%, contractual 15%, commodities 2%, assessor 6%, building town hall expenses about 5%. So again, we're going to be top heavy to start the year as we always are. The tax money comes up front in the fiscal, and then we're going to spend that down and await that second installment, which hopefully we'll see sooner than December. I won't go through all the detail, but again, obviously the agencies have not gone out the door yet, so that'll kind of flip the script in terms of some of the expenditures as well as our project budgets. But everything else seems to be well in line with kind of where we are in the year 2 months in. So I like to see that trend across, you know, especially some of the bigger budgets for payroll and compensation and that sort of thing. So that all looks very good to me. Some new accounts that you'll see on the our bank accounts and CD rates. Again, we've got our 2 new Schwab investment accounts for town and GA opened at $500,000, which was approved by the board. So again, we're going to be including, you know, they have a statement for us that we receive monthly now, kind of a report of how our you know, our investments are doing. So we'll circle back with that. Right now it just says various, but we'll be able to attach that moving forward. But about what we have in fund balance, we've got about 3.1 million across all accounts. Again, what we see in Schwab, we'll be able to continue to try to migrate money over there as we go throughout the year. Again, you're going to get probably 4 and 5% returns on what's invested, which is all very safe as in the fixed income portfolios that have been developed by Sawyer Faldudo. Other than that, I won't go through all the transaction detail for approval tonight, but I'd be happy to answer any questions from the board.
Are there any questions?
When I was looking at the March one, I know that we've just gone through April, but we only had March in the pocket because this was only received recently. I wanted to ask about one thing on, it's in the reconciliation detail towards the end. And I think that there was in the uncleared checks, it's page 5, it's maybe 5 or 6 pages from the very end. There was a charge of, or a check of $300 to Regina Dominican. Do we pay them to have the shredding day there, or is that something different?
We do not.
Okay,
It's gratis.
okay.
Yeah, they're very nice about that. I wonder why we haven't. And you're looking at that, huh? Where are you looking? Regina Dominican.
The pages are
It's-
numbered.
The pages are numbered as page 5 at the bottom. It's literally 4
see it,
pages.
I see it.
Yeah.
I remember what that was.
Do we pay anybody's tuition there? Could it be a tuition payment or something?
I will take a look at it.
Okay,
No, they did not charge us for it.
all right, thank you. That was my only question.
Thank you. I'll mark that up. Any other questions? You happen to remember the date we're getting out the first tax changes? That's a lot.
Steve was just asking me about this, yes, so the landmark court is June 30th,
Okay.
it's at the end, and then we normally give it in July because we have that luncheon.
Yep. Yep, as a part of our new, let's actually have all the agencies together initiative. Fabulous. Well, thank you, James, appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And while we are on the financials, we would normally have trustee Moser do our verification of claims. I'll ask trustee Robbins to do the honors.
Okay, I'm gonna go to my, make sure I'm on the right page. You know, I see a lot in the March, there's a lot of page 1s in the April. Okay. I see a page 1 here, which is dated May 2nd, 23 in the upper left-hand corner. It's the reconciliation detail BMO checking. Am I on the right page, Gail?
Yes, as far as how we've been doing the motion now, it's simply the claims that were presented at March and April 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hereby move that the claims that were presented in the consolidated package entitled interim financial statements for the 2 months ended April 30th, so that the claims for March and April, which have been paid, that they be approved by the board at this time.
Is there a second?
A second.
This is a financial question. We'll go to a voice to a
Okay.
roll call vote.
Supervisor Eisenberg,
Yes.
trustee Rubin,
Yes.
trustee Robin,
Yes.
trustee Castel McNally.
Yes.
I will pass this one around. You. Assessor's report, Assessor Churchwell.
Yes, excuse me. I sent my report to everybody and I know tonight is a pretty full and busy night, so I will not elaborate or speak about anything more on it at this point. Okay?
Okay. If we could just include a report in the minutes that we.
Yes, Jerome, I sent both you and Larisha a copy.
Thank you, Jan.
And if you haven't checked to see if you have a board of review letter, do that.
Sorry?
I was like, I didn't notice that I had gotten my board of review decision
Oh.
letter until I saw, I have a Google alert on Township, as everyone does. And saw that, you know, that we are done, and I was like, oh. So,
Yes, we are, yeah, they don't generally notify us, and the county has not notified us that we are done, but I do have a copy of the board's final results, but not in, not in a hello, we are done form. I have the data. So if you'd like me to look you up, I can.
figured it out.
Oh, good. Okay, then.
All right. We will now adjourn to our public hearing. All those in favor of adjourning to the budget hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we are now in our budget hearing for Town Fund and General Assistance Fund 2023 -01 ordinance.
Sorry, should we have done public comment?
We will do it again. You're right, I missed that. So, because we need public comment like 5 times here. All right, so we have been presented with a budget ordinance. Thank you to James Howard and his team for putting together the ordinance based on our discussions. As you will see, the agency programs, the numbers are as we discussed at our last meeting and approved from via the committee process, as well as the other line items. I am going to propose one change to the ordinance as presented. If you go to page 4, page 4 is employee line 5604 is employee health insurance. We currently have 40,000 down as for that line. If you recall, about a year ago, we switched to Blue Cross Blue Shield from local governments, which caused great savings to the township. And my understanding from Larisha, better coverage. And but at the same time, I think it allows us to take a look at our insurance programs and see if they are as generous as they could be. During the Township Officials of Illinois program, I did speak with other supervisors about what they were offering to their staff and do think that we can afford to be more generous. Our current policy is that we cover the employee coverage for health insurance only. I am proposing to go up to 1,500 per employee to be used towards any health benefits. So that being health insurance, dental, vision, and to be used however that employee so chooses. So if they want to get a Cadillac program versus have it or a more a gold program and allow them to have their family on it, that would be the choice of the particular individual. I believe you all have a copy of kind of the breakdown from our insurance carriers to kind of see the various options that were offered.
Is it just 3 employees?
It is 3 employees that are currently on our insurance program. We pay Medicare supplements for those who are Medicare eligible. That does not end up being close to that number. Yep, and part-time employees are not eligible for health insurance under our policy.
So we presently had 40,000 in the
Yes, okay, I'm. Oh. Let's figure out what that was.
it was up there.
It did. Give us one moment for those online.
Yeah.
Okay, we're okay. Thank you.
Afraid the picture fell off the wall and the glass crushed.
Okay. Okay, we'll deal with that after. Don't worry about it. Yeah, okay. Huh. Never a dull moment, as I said, especially in our building. All right, so I'm just proposing going from 40,000 to 60,000 Our pre-switching, to Blue Cross Blue Shield, we were at 96,000.
So that's. Is there discretionary funds in there, or will that?
It would allow it, you're right, it's the 3 full-time up to 1,500, and obviously we will see during open enrollment, which is coming right up, that's why we gotta do this.
1,500 per month,
1,500 per month
per person.
per person, plus we'll continue to pay the supplements for the Medicare eligible.
Okay.
So that would bring the line item below it to 313,458.
I will assume your math is correct.
It's just adding 20,000, that's all I got, girl.
Thank you.
Oh,
good
then
point.
the general town fund then would be increased by 20,000 as well, so it's gonna be just over three mil.
Yes,
So by way of discussion, before we went to Blue Cross Blue Shield, when we were with the town fund, we were at 96 in our final year.
yes,
And that was with what carrier?
the local government insurance program.
And how many people were covered at that time?
1, 2, 3, 4, everybody except for well, 5 of us, because Jean, 4 of us, because Jean fell off because of Medicare. Brian just fell off because of Medicare this year.
Okay,
And that's before Steve got here too.
so we had 5 at 96,000 and now 3 at 60,000 and
So that 60 would also cover the Medicare supplements, so it is back up to
That would
the
cover-
higher.
so you're allocating about 18,000 per person. And 6,000 to cover the Medicare's.
15,000. I'm sorry, you're right, yes, yeah, exactly.
And have we shopped this at all, or is Blue Cross Blue Shield the way to go?
We have looked at various plans, and this allows the employee to choose between the various programs. So,
And can I ask, how does the staff feel about this change?
I can't currently carry my kids on the health insurance because it's too expensive to me. My personal feeling is I've always been grateful that the township covers me. Would I like to cover my family? Yes.
And this would allow you to do that?
If I choose one of the plans that I can get all of us under, yeah, I think it's about 1,300, and then I think our family medical, dental and vision is like 137 if you carry employee plus family. So I think I can get right at that 1,500 mark.
and the employee could choose something more and pay the difference,
Yeah.
right?
And
This
if the
would be
employee chooses,
equal amount, up to that amount, allocated per person.
and if the employee chooses something less, what happens then?
Then we
That's just
can
what we
use that
pay.
money towards helping people.
Would that 18,000 be in the employee's discretion to use?
No. It has to be used towards a health benefit.
So we're encouraging them to get as generous of a coverage as possible, as close to the 18,000 as possible.
Yes. That they're eligible for, of course.
And I'm just trying to, I want to take good care of our employees, as we all do, but I'm just trying to compare apples and apples. When you look at a compensation package of, let's say, 60,000, an additional 18,000 on top of that is like another 33%. It's not insignificant.
It's not insignificant.
But
But it wouldn't be a raise of that amount, so. Right, consider right now that we are paying the employees insurance. So yes,
But
but
before this year, what had we allocated for a plan on these 3 employees? What did we allotted?
I think that we were paying individually on the local government health plan almost $1,600 per person, and that was for just medical.
right, just medical.
1,600 per person per month.
Yes.
Okay, so they're very close. And then, but with the Blue Cross, this is our second year of Blue Cross?
Yes,
And what did we pay in the first year?
it did go up slightly.
It went up 8.2% this year.
So were we at 40 before this?
Let's take a look at our end. James, if you're still on, can you grab our end of year?
So I'm assuming it was at 40 if we were at 40 in the budget, or we made a little less than 40.
Right, I mean, that's where we get those numbers from. All right, I'm gonna grab it from the website.
Julie, what do you think?
I'm looking it up.
Oh,
Gail.
thank you.
We heard from Larisha, we'd like to hear from you.
I'd rather not speak on the record. I have surgery next week. I have very definite thoughts.
But your surgery next week is under the old coverage or? Under the old
Correct.
benefit, okay.
Correct.
And if it was under the new benefit, you might be in better shape.
I wouldn't have to fill out a FOXA form for my surgery,
Oh, my
post
goodness.
surgery. Yeah.
Well, that's important for us to hear.
Yeah, but
And Stephen he's married without children, is that correct? Because I thought I even saw his wife.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of feel it's a no-brainer. We have to take good care of our employees and we have to make sure that they're healthy and that they're comfortable getting the care they need. I mean, the numbers are never fun when we talk about health insurance, but we run a tight ship here. And I'd be in favor of what you're proposing, Supervisor Eisenberg.
I agree as well. I know we'll do a vote, but 100%, yeah.
Any additional discussion about increasing that line? Seeing none, I would now entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 223-24 with the proposed change to the employee benefits line as discussed, increasing employee health insurance line from 40,000 to 60,000 and the intended changes to the sums.
Sorry,
Can we have to adjourn from the public meeting first?
Oh, sorry. Is there any public comments on the proposed budget? Seeing none. We will now reconvene our regular hearing. Do I have to have a vote on that? All those in favor of reconvening the regular board meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, I will now entertain a motion to approve the budget and appropriation ordinance as revised.
So moved.
All right, we'll,
okay, wait, additional discussion, just one.
yes,
point. On the certification page,
yes,
I saw that we had corrected the date on a former page. We need to correct the date in the preamble on this one too, from 11th April to 9th May.
yeah. All right. This motion has been moved and seconded. We will now go to a roll call vote.
Supervisor Eisenberg,
Aye.
trustee Ruben,
Aye.
trustee Robin,
Yes,
trustee Cassell McNally.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a revised copy then for me to submit to the county.
Yes, that's a good idea. Okay, we'll do a clean copy because it looks like only Jerome and I have to sign.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to propose to revise the agenda to move new business selection of decennial committee up so that our guests can decide if they want to leave. Is there a second?
second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, new business, selection of decennial committee. Get my little spiel.
I'm embarrassed to say I had to look up the setting just to see what it meant.
I think I said it right this time. It's taken me about a year to figure it, say it correctly.
I know it's not a bicentennial, and I think we're past our sesquicentennial.
Exactly. All right, so as you all know from various supervisor updates, we have a fabulous new committee on local government, decennial committee on local government efficiency act rolls off the tongue. 50 ILCS 70 at SEC, which requires townships and other local governments other than municipalities and counties to study and report on their local government efficiencies. And we are required to begin that process by June 10th of this year. And this was passed June of last year. So we need to appoint that committee. That committee is going to be comprised of all of us, the elected or appointed members of the governing board, as well as our chief executive officer, as well as at least 2 township residents as appointed by the supervisor, and others as desired. No one is compensated for their time, but may be reimbursed for their committee-related expenses. We must meet a minimum of 3 times, and they are subject to Open Meetings Act, and we will submit a report within 18 months of the appointment. So pursuant to that statute, I would like to appoint the members of New Trier Township's Decennial Committee, including myself, Gail Schutzer-Eisenberg, Jerome Hoynes, Jan Churchwell, Danielle Rubin, Stefan Moser, Elliot Robbins, Catherine Cassell McNally, Larisha Hopkins, as well as members of the community who have agreed to serve, including those who are here today. Kylie Rudd of Glencoe, Victoria McDonough, am I saying that? McDonough. Are you of Winnetka right now?
Up when I.
Of Winnetka. Stacy Worley of Wilmette, and Peter Tyre of Winnetka. I believe that this will create a well-rounded committee. Stacy is a CPA and financial advisor. If you recall, she had run for trustee about 6 years ago, and has her bachelor's in business administration from University of Michigan. Victoria is currently an executive director in cyber risk for E-Trade, and will bring what's sadly becoming very important cybersecurity information for us, as well as being a member of our New Trier Citizens League and a former moderator of our annual town meeting extraordinaire. Peter Tyre, who I did not realize has a PhD until I had to look him up. Yeah, philosophy, it's a PhD in history, doctor. Anyway,
Does everything.
right? But either way, is our chair of our New Trier Citizens League, as well as a member of the League of Women Voters of Winnetka's Board of Directors, and will also provide perspective as a former fundraising professional, since that is a large part of our role, involves grant making and nonprofit administration. Kylie Rudd of Glencoe received her MBA at Wharton and an engineering degree, providing a whole nother set of skills that none of us have as too many lawyers in the room. So she's also on the Glencoe PTO and on the Moms Demand Action New Trier Board of Directors. And finally, provides us some Glencoe representation. So with that, I would ask that the board approve my appointments.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, any discussion?
I think those are 4 excellent appointments.
Wonderful,
Will you chair the meeting and then set the organization of the?
absolutely. All right,
Great
Is it
choice,
called
right?
decennial because we have to do it every?
10 years.
Years. Unfunded mandate on.
Yep,
Yeah, but it's a great choice because Stacy Wood, I remember she wanted to do things that, and now you're actually getting.
absolutely.
And then Victoria, and Peter is a historian on the history of disabilities. I mean,
That's
Peter's
true.
like, wow.
So we're very excited. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Welcome to our decennial committee.
Is there a logo?
So for fun, and for statutory requirements, I will now call this meeting of the decennial committee to order. Seeing as we have a quorum. I will just say that I'm looking forward to doing this process, though I was very concerned when we first saw the statute, because it seemed onerous and expensive. I do think it is a good opportunity for us to take a look at where we can improve and pat ourselves on the back when we find things that we're doing well. Also, as you all know, when we came into office 2 years ago, there was not much of a transitioning process, unfortunately, because of Alan's health concerns. And we obviously had quite a transition with our administrator. So this does provide us an opportunity to kind of just find out where things are. And then go through that process as well. We are still finding things that don't have contracts. And we're just been doing things, the way we've always done, and I'm hopeful that this committee will take a critical eye at everything we've done, because none of us have an ego in this matter. It's really about serving New Trier Township the best we can, most efficiently we can.
Is the intent to use the form of report that we've been kind of seeing in Toy?
That can be our basis.
Okay.
I have spoken, I think, a couple of these, that I have reached out to a master's in public policy program to see if they'll be could provide some of the brain power. And if they have a different form, that would be great, but we won't know until the fall if they can offer us students, because that's how school works.
Yeah, well, I was here 10 years ago. We didn't do it. Was it an option?
This is new. Yes, so this was passed last year. Yeah, exactly.
Will these 3 annual meetings, will they dovetail with existing town meetings or?
That's the plan currently.
Okay,
I envision that this meeting, we have now set our general mission. Second meeting, we will go, we'll be in probably about a year. That we will do it throughout this process. I'll be in touch. Obviously, remember that because of Open Meetings Act, for those who have not currently subject to it, you cannot send group emails. So emails should be directed to me as the chair, CCing Larisha, because otherwise we will run afoul of Open Meetings Act. So in about a year, we will present our findings, and then from there, another 6 months to formalize a report. At each of these meetings, the public is invited, and may participate in any way they like. I imagine that second meeting being the most important, and the third being just more informational.
so it's not 3 meetings a year, it's 3 meetings in the decennial period.
In the decennial period, yes, exactly. And then we'll see you in 10 years. Can't get away, Elliot. I'm putting it in minutes.
I'll be working on peer jury.
Is there any public comment? That's in the statute, I have to ask. Seeing none. All right, we will now, I will now adjourn the meeting of the decennial committee and reconvene the meeting of New Trier Township Board of Trustees. Our decennial committee members are welcome to stay, but need not. I will now call for committee liaison reports. Mental Health Funding and Oversight Committee.
No new report, as per Steve's report, we're not doing meetings this month.
Great. Life Stages Funding.
No new report as well, unless you have anything to report about the warming house.
Let me just make sure we're allowed to. Checking. It is now open. You may announce.
I don't have.
Oh, you don't have the info?
I don't have the info.
Okay.
So,
We can now announce that Warming House is now a project of Haven.
okay.
And that was announced this past week on Saturday.
Could you elaborate on that?
Haven has wanted to have a drop-in program for some time, and they will be absorbing Warming House as a part. So Haven will take on the administration of Warming House. They will not, Warming House will not have its own executive director, will not have to do its own HR. They will be able to have social work interns because they will have licensed clinical social workers. And that which will allow them to really provide better services all around. So
Will our contested allocation remain in place then?
remember, we fund projects rather than organizations, so the money will go to that project. Yes,
Do we know if their location is going to remain the
my
same?
understanding is yes.
Okay,
They have a pretty good deal.
yeah.
$1 rent.
And did this have to be approved by the board at Warming House?
I assume both boards.
Both boards do.
Yeah.
And I am assuming that people will stay in place, but they're still in need of an executive director.
Right, so I don't believe they will need an executive director. They'll have like a project person. Yes.
Very,
So I'm very excited to see how that works out, but from my meeting with Haven and Warming House, I was very excited, so. Yeah. Very excited. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay. Disability Support Funding and Oversight Committee, trustee Moser is not here. Peer jury, Elliot.
Our big night is tomorrow night. We were not, not us, but Wilmette was not ready with their paperwork for last month. So we've got 8 new cases tomorrow night, 5 from Wilmette, 3 from Kenilworth. We have 3 youth advocates going to be present, and we have a youth advocate in training. We should have good jury attendance, and most importantly, we have the folks from New Trier and Loyola looking on, a couple of administrative people to see if it might be the kind of thing that they're interested in referring to directly. So it's in the history of peer jury, this is one of our biggest nights tomorrow night, and we hope it'll go smoothly.
Absolutely.
And I will report back.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, obviously your efforts
A
were.
little premature, but let's hope.
Acknowledgement of staff reports. We have received staff reports from our township administrator, food pantry manager / restorative justice coordinator. Sorry, I keep adding all these words in. General assistance administrator, outreach and communications director, communications and partnerships coordinator. Is there anything anyone would like to take out from their staff reports for discussion?
Thank you for getting the AED machine. I appreciate that. I'm very excited about it. And I know that Steve listens to these after. And so, you know, in thinking about passports, I was thinking about kind of what other kind of groups should we maybe be reaching out to. I know that for many parents and kids who are heading off to college, especially those who are going somewhere other than close to home, that getting your updated records and getting all the doctor's forms and stuff filled out. This might be an opportunity for us to reach out to people who are just finishing high school and potentially heading off to college. It's a good time to take a look and see if their passport is going to be expiring during their first year of school. You'd never want to be trying to go somewhere international for spring break, only to find out you can't. Or, you know, hopefully to get, you know, first time passports. So that was just my thought there.
All right, hopefully we can push passports over the summer, for that reason, as well as for the fact that Steve's time will be filled up.
Yeah, all of our passport appointments are always full, so there's never a slow time unless people just no call, no show.
Which, as you saw, we implemented a do not book list.
Yeah, but we are having an issue with the U.S. Department of State because their expedited is at 7 to 9 weeks. So they are extremely backed up, so that causes, you know, concern on our end because we can't obviously make any promises, but it was at 3 to 5, and now, you know, 7 to 9 is pretty significant, but it's cutting it very close for people, so.
And
Yeah, they're very inundated down there.
do we mention that on our website?
Yeah. And we send out an email when people book, they get an informational email. Giving the travel.state.gov website, us telling people what the processing times are, and everything that we do there, we mirror it on the website.
And we're gonna revisit the issue at some point, if the passport revenue gets to the point where it could be standalone fund an individual, part-time individual, and we could free up Steve, especially with his obligations once funding gets started. And that's something we want to keep in the back of our mind. If passport revenue would justify the hiring of a well-trained part-time person that could do nothing but passports, and we wouldn't have no additional expense on our part, that's something we should consider.
And what a benefit for the community.
Yes.
I mean, this is trustee Cassell and Ellie mentioned the stress of, you know, if you it's expired or just inconvenience. I've had so many people say, oh, how they like it, passports, assessment, I mean, the services, it's something they directly can take back with them and say, oh, great.
It's another great program that the township has the ability to run. And it is running. So we should keep our eyes on the numbers and see if those might at some point justify it.
Yeah.
Admittedly, this is assuming out quite a bit, but you know, based on what Larisha said, that if we are kind of fully subscribed in terms of the appointments, and 2 months into this fiscal year, the total received has been 7,325 per the financial summary ending in April 30th. If you multiply that out, that's 43,950. So, admittedly, that's well worth, investigating if it's worth having, somebody, to help, but,
My only concern is I do think that this is an elevated period because of the, revenge travel, as they're calling it. And I'm not sure we're gonna see those numbers forever.
sure.
And yeah, so we'll keep an eye on it, yeah. All right, I do want to pull out of here. We had fabulous food pantry drives recently. I hope you saw the social from Julie, really impressive. So, I want to thank all of our supporters. So we have a number, Winnetka Covenant Church, Baird Warner, Divine Mercy Parish, Sacred Heart, North Shore Congregation Israel, Winnetka Bible Church, Crow Island, so many, the Boy Scouts, everybody. So really people are coming to the aid of the pantry. Though we saw inflation now dip, we're not at the same rate of inflation as we were last year. I'm still a little nervous. So we want to keep making sure that we are pursuing donations. And speaking of Boy Scouts, I did have an Eagle Scout who interviewed me for his badge. Apparently that's a thing.
That's great.
He should have done it during the scholarship.
Yeah.
But oh well. So that was nice. Okay. Anything else to bring out from the reports? And Julie, I really appreciate you setting up these our outreach event so far in advance. We can all plan, despite my having already had set up something in October, but such is life. But the paper shred event got great. A lot of people were very happy with that, and we met our 10,000 pound goal. So well done, Julie. I think you should be very proud of that. And the mitzvah fair was awesome as well. Yep.
Do we have the most updated list of pantry needs? Is that on the website
It
still,
is,
or because I understand from the reports that kind of some non-food options are kind of desired these days.
We're always low on that, soaps and conditioners and people like baggies and foil. It just doesn't come in as fast as food does. So whenever we can find it on sale, Brian does have a relationship with durable packaging for foil. So sometimes they give us foil for like $2, which is always a good value. And sometimes we get like 100 of them at a time. So we just try to have relationships with companies that want to dump their stuff on us. We'll take it.
Exactly.
So we don't have to purchase it, but the cost is very low because foil is so expensive for our clients.
Absolutely. What did I say? Oh, one other agency update that you may not have seen in the emails, but Barb is retiring. Volunteer center.
Oh.
So if you know of someone who's interested in that kind of part-time AD role, that is will be available. And one thing that's been fun in our dispatch is Julie's been including job opportunities from our agencies. We're all just trying to help each other. So if we can help fulfill a need for a job and fulfill a service, even better. So please keep checking out our pantry. All right. Oh, are we on old business? We're on old business. Continuing business. Sorry, we call it continuing business. All right, National Wildlife Federation's Mayor's Monarch Pledge.
Right. All right, so I thank you guys so much for letting me take a deeper dive into this over the past couple of months. I wanted to start by kind of addressing the idea about, is this really within our purview? I know that Stefan had brought that up, and I went back to our mission and our guiding principles. And although these are some cherry-picked words, our township mission encourages us to provide leadership, advocacy, and resources to benefit the physical, mental, and social well-being of township residents. And part of our guiding principles is to identify and address needs of our community, create new energetic ideas and programs, support programs providing services to our neighbors, and pursue coalition building with other community entities. So, it's with that kind of background in mind and thinking about the fact that I was, brought to this opportunity by members of the community reaching out and saying, this is something that we're interested in and that we would like to get engaged and like you to be engaged in. So let me just briefly discuss my outreach. I spent the last 2 months reaching out to and going to other townships in Illinois who have already done this, local villages and individuals who are already involved in matters like this, people associated with things like Go Green, Winnetka and Northfield. In particular, I wanted to kind of on the record thanks the members of the Schaumburg and Niles Township for spending a lot of time answering a lot of silly questions. So they were really spectacular and I got a lot of great information from them. I also had the opportunity to discuss the concepts of monarchs as not the only pollinator group. And that while monarchs sometimes are brought, as, kind of the overarching pollinator that, when we're saying kind of, to bring, monarchs to the forefront, it's not really just them. It's, all butterflies and all pollinators and the importance of the habitat restoration for all of these. One of the things that kind of came from my conversations with, especially again, Schaumburg and Niles Township, is that this can be done in a way that is low or no cost, that is heavy on the communications and the collaboration with other groups that are already doing things like this. And that it's really great for multi-group collaboration. So for instance, we could be working with groups like, up in Glencoe, they have the Glencoe Community Garden that is already supporting our pantry by growing kind of produce. And we could be kind of, giving voice to some of the projects that they are already doing. And that would fulfill one of our action items for the year. So it's something that is, kind of, beneficial, within, the organization. And it's something that we're already frankly doing. I did specifically ask about if anybody has seen critique or if any groups or individuals have raised concern about either cost or that, you should get in your own lane. This is not something you should be doing. Nobody has indicated that this is seen as a partisan issue. One of the Niles Township folks I spoke with just said everybody likes butterflies, that it's kind of hard to not like butterflies. What I can tell you in terms of the National Wildlife Federation, I've had direct communication with them. Normally, they ask that you make this pledge by the end of March. They extended it to the end of April this year. And then when I reached out to them, and I said, we're not going to have our next meeting until tonight. I said, if we get, if we, approve this on, our meeting, can we, sign on the dotted line on May 10th? And they said that that will be fine. So, I've already gotten kind of the thumbs up to do that for this year. The other thing in terms of the action items that are, kind of, already provided for a second time in this month's packet, some of the other townships indicated that you can select and are encouraged, you have to select at least 3 action items to undertake each year. But they did say if you end up doing different action items, that it's okay, that when you're doing your report at the end of the year, it's all right if you said we're going to do 1, 3, and 10, and you end up doing 2, 4, and 6. That it's, you're not blocked into, particular things. So, it really is, encouraging people to, try, do something and to be, do as much or as little as you want. So in looking through the action items, and, again, some of the fantastic folks over at Schaumburg have helped me to kind of, not have to reinvent the wheel. They gave me the proclamation that they used, have used in the past, to kind of take a look at. And so one other thing that I did want to mention. One of our villages in the township, Winnetka, had, we were under the impression that they had done it once and then they decided to not do it. I got clarification on that issue. This was a miscommunication about who was going to be filling out the reports. So they have actually kind of picked the ball back up and, figured out, who is going to be the person bringing it forward. But it's actually not that, they thought that this was a bad program or they didn't want to continue doing it, but rather that it just needed to be housed in the right sub-organization within the village of Winnetka. So that being said, what I would propose that we do for this year is if a motion were to pass, to ask Supervisor Schnitzer Eisenberg to make this pledge on behalf of the township, that we would undertake actions number 1, 3, and 10. And 1 is to issue a proclamation to raise awareness about the decline of monarch butterfly and the species need for habitat. Again, I already have language on that. 3 is to engage with community garden groups and urge them to plant native milkweeds and nectar producing plants. I already have a list of and contact information for township clubs that would fulfill that. And for 10, host or support a native seed or plant sale, giveaway, or swap. Fortunately, Go Green Winnetka is already has one planned for the 13th of this month, as well as one in the fall for September 9th. I can't imagine that they would hate our helping them to publicize that as well. So again, this would not cost us anything. We already have the kind of social media in place. And I think it's worth giving it a shot for a year and seeing where it goes. Anybody have any questions? I'd be happy to entertain questions.
On 10, it looks more like it's host or support.
Yeah.
It looks like we might be doing more of a supporting.
Yes.
And again, with 1 and 3, engage with community. I mean, 2 looks doable. Again, we want to talk to Julie and see if she has time, but if we could do some stuff on our website, we might satisfy 2.
Exactly.
But it doesn't look like there's any cost involved unless we start hosting and providing plants or seeds. But if there's no cost involved, I mean, what's interesting to me is that we really have no jurisdiction over any land in this township. We don't have highways, we don't have parkways, we don't have roadways. We've got jurisdiction over no land, but this is like getting behind a really good green idea.
Schaumburg Township is in the exact same situation. And what they did in that situation is they do have a parking lot. And so they offered their parking lot for hosting a native plant sale. So, even it could be in front of our building if, during one of the sidewalk sales. Winnetka sidewalk sale that, we wanted to offer that as an opportunity for the, Winnetka Garden Club to do a display or something like that.
Oh, I'm talking more about in terms of planting.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't
have open space to.
But I mean, I think supporting,
Yes.
issuing proclamations, making a little section on our website. I think these are things we can all do. Julie had to step out, but I mean, some of this will fall on her, obviously, because she's a communications person, but none of this seems onerous or unreasonable. How do you guys feel?
So I just had a couple of questions. And first of all, thank you so much for doing all this research over the last couple of months. It's obvious how much work went into it. So thank you so much. Is this when we sign this pledge, is it a yearly commitment?
Yes,
Okay.
it's considered, it's considered for the calendar year. Typically they open up the pledge period from December 1st of the prior year through the end of March. They're trying to throw a really wide net through the end of March of the current year. So this would be considered 2023 that we would be doing this. And the reporting period would be at the end of this calendar year.
Okay, great. So, okay, perfect. So that's good. So we can kind of give it a try for a year, see how it goes. And then in terms of this report that we need to create, who would be responsible
Sure.
for doing that report? Is that
So
something-
I would be comfortable in doing the reporting, or it could be in conjunction with, our staff. It is a report that's a form online. And it is very qualitative. It is, very kind of open text box qualitative. But, I was, the wonderful folks at Schaumburg, said that they would be happy to kind of walk me through it as we're doing it during the first year. And they said it is really not onerous, and that again, notwithstanding whatever you say you're gonna do, months in the, before that, they're happy to, that the National Wildlife Federation is happy to hear whatever you've done. And, they offer between 3 and 24 of the action items. And they say, the vast majority of people of villages or townships really do tend to do, more like 3 or 5.
The 3 would be sufficient.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I think, first of all, again, thank you for all of your work. I think this is an important cause. I think my only concern was, does it fall within our parameters? I like that Schaumburg and Niles Township, have signed the pledge. And I think it's important. I think we can give it a try for a year, see what happens and go from there. So that's kind of.
I'd like to have just a little historical background, because it's impressive, the outreach you did. More than 10 years ago, there was an effort from the township, since we don't have one, road highway commissioner.
Right.
And the township clerks, and we paired up and we had seeds at the township. It's just exciting, Kate, how it comes back with more gusto and more, it permeates more. But it was an exciting thing, and Elliot, to answer your question about jurisdiction, it was because Bloom Township, this big guy, he had so much land, he was like, why don't I plant these seeds? And so it was a really interesting effort between governments and environment.
I met him at the.
Joe Sandfire, you heard that was a big thing.
They introduced themselves as the monarch.
Yes.
But it's so neat, Kate, like how they improved and expanded.
Yeah.
But this was, I might even still have the collection box. So.
I actually think it's in there.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Gail, what are your thoughts?
I favor it, to be honest. I think, like Jerome had said, this is something that really township officials in Illinois has been doing for a while. Where, we're not the only ones without a road district would be doing it. Townships have had actually a really interesting history with weeds. So I feel like we have a responsibility to kind of make up for what the townships did with noxious weeds, which is one of our statutory
Can you still appoint a weed commissioner?
probably, right? I know, with the constable. So some fun historical facts, but, so yes, 1, 3, and 10 look good to me. I also liked 9, because the community art project.
I thought about that in connection with
The youth program.
the youth programs, seniors, some of our disabled friends.
Exactly.
I think that, you had already talked about them doing some art for in here too. I think that there would be, a
It could
great,
be themed.
yes, absolutely.
So, we can always do more than 4.
Yep.
But, so to that end, I'll call for a motion. Is there a motion?
I move to ask Supervisor Schnitzer Eisenberg to sign the National Wildlife Federation's Mayor's Monarch Pledge on behalf of New Trier Township for 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Seeing none, I will go ahead and sign that tomorrow.
Awesome. I can send you the link and all this stuff.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Okay. We are now in line for a motion to adjourn. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Any- It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we are adjourned.
Yeah.